taught by Paolo. Today we speak about a very important thing, that is the way our brain perceives the realities. We are gonna design pages. Pages will be seen by our customer, and in order to see how they will perceive the page and use in design the characteristic of their attitude, we need to go some basic calculation. We speak about visual perception. Visual perception, again, in the slide there are some definitions that are long and are there for you so you can have a look and look at them. I will not read all of them, but is exactly what he called. It's the way our brain perceives the reality. What do we use? We do use an eye. This is the structure of the eye. Maybe you have already seen in some other lessons how the eye works. Practically, the eye is a camera. Or, better say, the camera is something that is similar to the eye. You know, in the camera, you have the reality here, you have some lenses, and then the lenses focus on a part that is sensitive to the light. In the past was a film, now is an electronic part, but what happens is that the light and the different colors are transformed in a way that is easy to remember. In the case of the eye, you have exactly the same here, and then you have this surface. This surface is sensitive to the light, generates some electrical stimulus that go to the brain. Stop me if you need to know something more. This is the camera. In the camera, you have lenses, and then you have this. That is the area used to record the light that comes in. To go a little more deep, the film of your eye is the retina. The retina is a special surface that is at the end of your eye, and that has some elements. Each of them is sensitive in a different way to the light, and they are disposed in a way that you need to know just a little in order to understand how people watch your work. This is a real cross-section of the retina. The interesting thing is that the sensitive part is here, and the light comes from here, cross all these nerves that are, let's say, transparent, and gets to the elements that are sensitive to the light. And you have two types of elements. One is called cone, because of this conic structure, and this is called rod. Then you have a lot of synapses, a lot of nerve that collect the data and send them to the brain. It's pretty important to know the difference between rods and cones. Rods is very sensitive and is used under low light conditions. When you look, when there is no light, basically your cone are unable to see anything. But luckily enough, you have the rods that are able to see. They are very sensitive, and they are, I don't read everything, I leave to you to read, but the important thing is they are practically not able to see colors. But this is normal. If you think about it, if I show you something under a very low illumination level, it's very difficult to understand which color it is. You see something, but you cannot say exactly which color. The cones are much more sensitive, and they are color sensitive. They tell you which color is coming in the end of your eye. These are the real one. They are coming from an anatomic book. What happens into rods and cones? Happens a chemical reaction. The rhodopsin is this formula, very complicated, changes, and this chemical change makes you able to see something, because the rod and the cone inside, they have this chemical element that, transformed by light, produce electric signal. Do you know the chemical that is used to do this is called a rhodopsin? You know where it's coming from? Any idea? You know, remember what the people were telling when you were young? Were telling you, eat more of this because it's good for your eye? Carrots. Exactly. Carrots are the most important thing to be eaten in order to have good vision. This is a true thing. It's very important. For instance, the pilots during the war, they were eating a lot of carrots because it was very important for them to see other planes. So eat carrots. As a designer, you need to see things. Now, let's have a look to the eye. The light comes from here, and this is the film. If we look at this film, we see that in the central part, that is called fovea, there is a lot of cone. You remember I told you cone are the one very sensible, not to light but to colors, and very acute. When you lose, or say not you, but when somebody loses the use of cones, it becomes legally blind. Even it's full of rods. Those cones are the one that you really need. And then the rods are not in the center, but are in the peripheral part. There is a reason why, you know, nobody has designed your eye. It was the evolution. The evolution makes when the solution is better for the person. So why you need to see in the peripheral part, not so good, but you see even in dark, and in the center to see better, which is the most important thing done by your eyes for seeing you. They give you alert. Eye is one of the things. If I am here and the lions come, very not too much probability here, but if I am in the forest and the tiger comes, I need to see. I don't know to see her very well. I know to see that it's a tiger, and then escape. So the peripheral part is done to protect you. The central part is the one that makes you see things in a good way. There are cones that are, say, sensitive to different colors, as I told you before. What is this? Any idea? Sorry? This is exactly how you are looking around now. This is the vision that has your eye. You see, in the center, you see pretty well. It's the face. In the peripheral, I see in black and white, and I don't see much. And what are these? Can you imagine? These lines? These lines are the vas, the arteries and veins of your eye. So that's what the eye sees. So when you say that you look with your eye, it's not true. You look with your eye, if your brain. Because now I can look her in her face, then I move. Actually, I don't see anymore. But my mind, as in her mind, in her memory, her face, and I keep and I look at the world as it is a complete thing. But actually, I see flesh by flesh. It's clear this fact? These are the veins and the arteries. And you know, there is one place in the eye where there are three things. The artery that comes out to feed the eye with oxygen, the vein that goes out to send the blood back to be oxygenated, and the nerve, because I need to see with my brain. So there is a nerve that takes everything to the brain. This is called the blind spot. In that little spot, I don't see nothing. And we will demonstrate it. As a definition, we can say that the eye is like a 53 megapixel camera, and the sharp part of the vision is 2 degrees. All the other part is very bad. But I don't feel it. I don't feel it because I am continuously overlapping what I see in the center and what I've seen before. Peripheral vision, as I told you, is very important. Roads that are in peripheral vision are very sensitive to movement, but not to colors. From the point of view of design, it's very important to know that if I am in a page and somebody is looking somewhere, if I want to attract the attention, for instance, for an alert, and he's looking here and the alert is there, I must do something that is fastly moving, because they will not feel the color, but they feel very well the movement. On the other side, it's very important when you design something not to disturb with useless movement around. Because if I'm doing something and you keep, sometimes happens, you are buying an airline ticket, okay, and they want to sell you a car loan, and they begin click, 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 telling you fast that you should buy also a car. This is very bad, because it takes the attention out of the part that is more important. In order to feel that you have a blind spot, you can do this experiment. You take a piece of paper, you draw 2 things on the paper. Then you look here, like this, with one eye, and you begin to go up and down. At a certain moment, you will not see the spot, because the spot is into the blind area. You can try, but I think you have already done things of this in other lessons. Quindi quando fa fuori freddo mi sembra caldo.
Sì, facciamo caldo vestiamo.
Okay. We told that there is the lens. The lens is useful to accommodate, to see something near or far. Sometimes the lens does not work very well. In this room, there are 4 or 5 people like me with glasses. Why they have glasses? They have glasses because they have problems with the lens and need to correct in order to see something well, or to see if they are myopes something far, or to see if they have correction with something near. When you get older, both apply. As engineer and designer, we need to take in account not only what the eye sees, but the whole function with eye and brain. Because our customer is using always eye and brain. And the bad news is that actually, thank you, actually do not know exactly how it works. So we use a special technique. It is called black box. When you say, sometimes in science you do this, you say to understand how it works is too difficult. So let's forget about how it's done inside and have a look at what happens from outside and get some rules from what we see. And this is what we will do today. One interesting thing is to understand how we can cheat our brain and our eye, not for cheating, but in order to send a message. It's a good thing to see how the things are changed by your brain. Have you ever seen this type of room? It's very common in every museum. It's a room, you see, this is the same person, and looks very big and very small. Why? Because the room is called the Ames room, is done in this way. I show you a very interesting.
Does what we see correspond to what's really out there? Or does our brain construct its own version of reality? One that does not always match up with the physical universe. Check me out, for example. I'm the same size here as I am over here. But over here, I look much larger. No, it's not a cheap video trick. It's a trick on your brain. Here's what you're seeing. The me over here is indeed projecting a smaller image onto your retina, the region of light detecting cells at the back of your eye. All else being equal, smaller images mean smaller things. Here, I'm in no danger of hitting my head on the ceiling. But over here, I am ducking. Ceilings are useful visual landmarks for judging size. Of course, you're making these size estimates based on the assumption that this room is ordinary and box-shaped. You assume the back wall is perpendicular to the line of sight, so the two versions of me are the same distance away. You're also assuming that the floor and ceiling are level and parallel. But as you probably guessed, this isn't the case, and the room isn't box-shaped at all. It's trapezoidal. The back left corner of the room is much farther away than the right. Since I'm farther away over here, my image is smaller, although I'm definitely not. The ceiling cue is also misleading. The floor actually slants upward and the ceiling downward from left to right, making my head much closer to the ceiling when I'm over here. Why couldn't you see these things and adjust your size estimates? The room's features have been cleverly distorted to be consistent with a rectangular shape. The checkerboard pattern on the floor gets finer grained toward the right, so that the same number of pattern elements fit in a shorter distance. The windows are resized and shaped to match the trapezoidal back wall. Your narrow angle of view from the front of the room blocks the cues that would reveal the room's true shape. And of course, we easily believe in a box shape because that's the shape rooms normally are. This clever setup is called the Ames illusion. American ophthalmologist Adelbert Ames Jr. devised it in 1934 and built a physical example the following year. For Scientific American's Instant Egghead, I'm Ingrid Wickledren.
So if you have occasion, in many museums you will find this room, and it's quite interesting. And which is the message as designer we should learn from this thing. We should learn that when we design something, what we put in an element is not working alone. is working together with all the other elements of the page. So we must have what is called an holistic vision of the page. We must consider everything all together and not the single part alone. This is the view of. One way, as she told, we have to understand if something is near or far is the dimension. I see people down there, small, and people here, pretty big. But we have another thing. You know what we have, which is the most important mechanism we have to decide if something is near or far? Why we have two eyes? We have two eyes for several reasons. One for security, blah, 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 blah. But we have two eyes also because when you look at something and you focus in something, the angle between the two eyes is proportional to the distance. So if I look something very far, it's like this. It looks something very near, it's like this. My brain, that pilot the eye, knows this. This is a very good experiment. Since many years ago, I was doing this experiment in the room, the school. Then all the people that had to clean up were very upset, so we forgot this. But if you want to try to put something on one eye, take coffee, a cup, and try to put the coffee in the cup. The coffee will go in the ground because you are totally unable to see what you are doing exactly because the lack of this accommodation. This is the reason why, if you have only one eye, you can have the driving license, but is for a very small car and not powerful car, and you will never be an airline pilot because an airline pilot needs to see things in a good way. Eye tracking is a very important thing for us for design. Nowadays, you can find machines that are very simple and absolutely not expensive. Expensive means 5,000 euros. That you put on the PC, and you will know where people is looking exactly. This is a very good way of understanding how people looks at our pages. This is a very old thing. This is done at the beginning of the 18th century. They were looking around. Now, this was the. Now we go a little deeper in reality. Not in reality, but in practical. Do you know what is Gestalt? Have you studied Gestalt? How many of you? Raise your hand. Not too many. This is strange because it's a very important thing. Gestalt is a part of philosophy, and is the one part of Gestalt is something across psychology and philosophy. One part of Gestalt is related to the visual perception. It's a way of studying how do you feel or our brain gets information from outside. This was the guy that invented in 43 Gestalt, and the idea came, it says in his book, looking from a train. You know when you are in a train, and normally there is an electric line nearby the train. You are going fast, and you see the electric line as it is moving up and down. When I was a child, I was for hours looking at that. And this happens, but why I put this? Because it's the same. Here you have movement, and you see again the letters. So he observed that we don't see what our eye see, but we see what our eye plus brain see. We feel reality. We do not get it from outside. Kant has developed some theory about this. The category of Kant, it was an important philosopher, are very related to Gestalt. Do you know this guy, Ecker? Ecker is using Gestalt to make beautiful things and movies. You see this? These two lines, they look like this. They are exactly parallel. These and these are exactly the same. But here, they look not lines because of the presence of these other elements. Which is the biggest between this yellow? Any idea? Go from the city, you already see. Are exactly the same. But normally people will not say that are the same. These lines, they look moving? No. They are exactly straight line. They look, if they are going up and down, because of the presence of the other elements. This line seems longer than this one. They are exactly the same. So again, what is around makes feel things different. And these two, red and blue, you believe they are exactly the same? You don't feel they are the same, but they are exactly the same. Again, the big message is the single element can change the way we perceive it related to what is around it. One important thing is that, would you say that is this a hole or a little mountain? 99% of people say it is an hole. Why? No, like this, with something in it. Because we do perceive that light is coming from the sun. So it's coming from up. We don't feel the light coming from down.
I have to tell you, looking at it from here, it does look like
Different.
a mountain.
Yeah, because it's a different position.
Because I probably, right.
You look like this.
Yeah.
It's the same. But I don't know exactly what it is.
It's your mind that makes it. Your mind that makes it a hole or a mountain, because you're used to the.
You can make fantastic. Echer did this, incredible things. The water here is coming, going up, down, and then goes again. But this is impossible drawing because what is all together is different from the single thing. Then there is the fact that sometimes you see contours that are not there. You feel this triangle, but it's not drawing. No? This triangle thing. What do you read there? Which letter is in the logo? It's interesting because half of people normally sees the C. I don't see exactly the C there. But this is the symbol Carrefour comes from the fact that this is the C. Even this panda is not a panda, it's full of holes. But
I have to try to see this.
if you think about Yeah.
Like it's easier, but
Yeah, but you see, for years I've gone to Carrefour and I was asking myself why it is a strange arrow. And then they told me, no, it's a C. Or movement we can skip this. Then there is the problem of reversible figure. Here you see different words going one way and the other way. Then when you see a cube like this, you can have this different idea of the cube, but it's impossible to say exactly what it is. This is quite interesting. What do you say about this part? This is the same color. You see any difference? They are totally different. The same picture, right? If I go here, I see and I look, they are the same. But actually are different. Because I go against the effect. And this one, which color is this? It's gray? Plain gray? No, it's not plain gray. You look gray because you think it's gray. But it's not. Believe me, it's the same picture. This is fantastic. Which is the difference between this and this? Any idea? Huh? Sorry? You already seen. They are exactly the same. Look. You see? If you connect them, they are the same. I show you. You didn't believe it. Impressive. You remember this? This was around for 2 years. Somebody perceived this as gold, somebody perceived this as blue. If you look in the internet, you will find why. But this is even more strong. Have you ever seen this? If you have seen, don't say nothing. But, which is the color of these strawberries?
what do you mean, like on the
The strawberries. Which color you see in the strawberries?
I know they are brown on the outside because I know this fruits.
You know with it?
But they're supposed to be red on the inside, right? And white, of course.
The strawberries are
What
white.
color do you see here?
What color do you see? Which color you see here? You don't see color. Which color anybody sees here? You see red. You don't feel red?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Because it's a special individual. Most of people feel they're red. Actually, they are blue. And there is not a single pixel red in this picture. what happens? Happens that in most of us, looking at something, you know as it's a color, we all know the phrase red, we correct them and make us feel them red. Of course, these things done in projector are not so well because the projector. I show you again if it works.
Here's a question that will mess with your mind for the rest of the day. What color are the strawberries in this photo? If you said red, you are wrong. This optical illusion is driving folks bonkers on the internet because we are all realizing that our eyes are lying to us. So let's break down what is happening in this photo of strawberries on a pie. Believe it or not, there is not one single red pixel in this photo. It is all hues of blue and gray, but our brain does something funny. We know strawberries are red. We see that there's a blue hue to the photo, so our brain is perceiving this image as being under blue lighting, and it corrects it for making the strawberries appear red. But if you go through each pixel, you'll see there is no red in the photo at all. This color correcting effect is something our brains do all the time when we see objects under different types of lighting. If this trick feels familiar, it's because we've been here before, exactly 2 years ago this week. Remember the dress? Oh yeah, that debate got people raging online because some people's brains were interpreting the...
Okay. So what happened? Our brain is used to correct what we see. If you make picture, many times happens that you look at something and you see one color. Then you make a picture and the color looks very different. Why? Because your brain corrects things. camera, no. The camera, there is a red light, everything will seems red. Now let's speak about Gestalt. And to show you what is Gestalt, I want to show this.
Our next contestant hails from Columbus, Georgia. Let's hear it for Dee Westring. Come on out, Dee. All right, so what is your talent? What will you be performing today?
I'm a speed painter, and I'm going to do a painting in a minute and a half or less. Okay.
All right, here we go. Let's hear it for Dee Westring.
If you understand what is painting, raise your hand.
All right, Dee, you have 1 minute left. Here we go.
Idea?
45 seconds, Dee. Here we go. Okay. 30 seconds, Dee. Come on, guys. We can do that.
Idea?
Down to the wire, 15 seconds, Dee.
What?
Come on. Get up, Dee Westring. Come on. 3, 2, 1. Let's hear it for Dee Westring.
It's quite impressive. So, in a nutshell, this is Gestalt. Gestalt means that the sum of everything, for instance, in a page, is different from the single elements. Here there is a definition, formal, you can read it. We don't have time to go. The Gestalt is part of something we must know, because we always must consider that we are not designing single parts, but the important thing is the total result of what we are deciding. One phenomenon, this is the last one, connected with our eyes, is what's called the phi phenomenon. Your eye, they see things. When they are changing rapidly, they perceive movement. In moving picture, they are, if you ever seen the film, they are a single picture. It's not a film. But if you change the picture more than 16 times a second, you will perceive them as moving. This is a very old play for children. It's called Gestalt. You see, there are the horses in different positions. When I turn,
particularly nice looking on this one. Who looked as nice from the side? So let's take it for a spin.
you look, you see that it seems that the horse moved. But we have done, when we were children, these things with pages. I think we have done sometimes. Design different things and make it rich. But in Zeotrope, you can make even more interesting thing. This I took this film in Disney World.
Okay, let's get this thing spinning. It's time to get animated.
They are single elements. If you move them, the second time, you feel if they are moving. Okay. Then, putting things together, we can build different things. What do you see here? What do you see? Sorry?
A guy with his hand.
You see a guy, but if you look carefully here, you see a lady. Here you see a man. So, different elements put it together, they form different things. Also in this case, you see this horse? The barb actually is a horse. Here you can see ladies in a horse. What do you see here? It's a little more difficult.
An old woman and a young woman.
Yeah. If you consider this as a nose, is an old woman. If you consider this as nose, is a young lady. You can feel it. Young lady, nose, hairs. This is the neck. Necklace. Consider this the mouth, is an old lady. The neck is a young lady. The strange thing about our brain, that once it looks at, sees something, then tends to keep on it. And it's very difficult to see the other one. This has been used by Salvatore Dali, for instance. This is my West portrait done by pieces. If you are interested, and you should be interested, have a look to this book. This book is very interesting. Let's look at some law of Gestalt that we need as designers. The first law is the law of similarity. If objects are similar, here for instance in color, you tend to perceive them as groups. You know, you perceive this as a group and this as another group. You will never perceive these as groups. On the other side, unsimilar things are the one you look before. This face is immediately seen as uncorrelated to the other. It's a beautiful disc. You should listen. Similarity, you perceive these as line, this line as together, this line as together, this cross as an element. Similarity is used in design of objects. This was the first remote controller for a television. You see, just for switches. This is a new one. And what they have done, they used similarity in color, in position, in shape, to make things similar appear together. Then there is the law of continuation. We feel that something is the continuation of something else. This star, we feel is coming from here and going there. There's no exact reason, but we feel it. Continuation, again, we feel that this is going like this and like this. Nobody will think that this is the shape. Continuation is used for instance in radar. This is the radar of a control tower. You have points, but the idea of continuation makes you understand that the plane is going in a direction. Continuation makes us say that this is a line, this is a circle. We don't perceive other things. Continuation makes us feel the put down as elements that are together. Then closure. We tend to close things. As we close the panda, here you see fork and knife, but you see also a Coke bottle, because the continuation. Continuation is also here. It's a very nice trademark. It's not written IBM, but with continuation, we put together and we see IBM. Continuation and then there is closure. We tend to close things. Stencil are closures. No? We close and we see a bicycle. Closure, you have seen this, we were doing this with the old computer with printers, and it was fine to make this picture with old printers because of closure. Oh, they're very nice. Okay, we can go first. In cartoon, we close. When we look at the cartoon are single picture, but we see as they are moving. There's proximity. Things that are together, all of this can be applied to the element of a page. You feel they are somehow connected. This flame, due to the proximity of three elements, this is the idea that you feel that these, and these are elements that are different from the others. Menu are group, and we must use consistently, and use separator when we want to feel that they are same elements, but separated. Or you can jump over this, is an open. What do you think about this form? You will have to question about form design, but you like this form? Don't you feel it's a little too much? Look at this. I have taken this real one. I have transformed it in this one. It is much better because I have applied all the rules before to give the idea of order and the good shape of what they're putting inside. Then there is the fact that we can feel different elements in figure and ground. Here you see two faces, but you see also a sort of cup. But here even more. This is beautiful. You see, it's difficult to see, but there's a plant, but then there is a monkey and a tiger. This is Africa, and you see Africa, but you see children and the mother. And so on. This is not what especially man thinks it is, but it's a lamp. It's exciting. Figure ground, we already told about this kind of pictures. We have already seen this is a figure ground. It depends on what you see as a figure, what you see as a ground. Emoticons are something that takes these rules of grouping and you design a face putting simple symbol together. We do think that emoticons are very new, but they are not. You see, these are emoticons, and it was 1881. It's a very, very, very old idea. Then, with the internet, has been jumped out, but it's an old one. We like symmetry and order. So, in most of the good trademark, there is symmetry. If you go and look at the history of trademark, this was the first mark of Pepsi. This is the last one. See, we went through order and simplicity. Maybe we go back to complexity, but nowadays, order and simplicity.
Just changed it with a new one. Months ago. Back to the 70s, very pop style. Okay. So, yeah, so they're going back.
Okay. So, Gestalt in a nutshell. Closure, I see. Proximity, this one that are nearby, I see the continuation, I see this going from here to here. Similarity, I thought this one. Figure and ground, I see AL here, if there is no AL, and then the order of everything. These are the things we must keep in our mind when we judge and when we design. Rorschach tests, that test to test your brain, are based on these rules. We can skip about this. Then we must take into account that in our brain there is what is called multi-stability. We can, if you look at this, somebody will see a duck, and somebody will see a rabbit here. The problem is that once you see one, it becomes pretty difficult, as I see in our face, to see the other one, because the brain tends to go in one direction. But if you look well, what you see here? A duck, look, it is the nose, the mouth is a rabbit, and the hairs. Then there is experience. What do you see here? You see a Dalmatian dog, but there is no Dalmatian dog if you look well. But you know Dalmatian dog, so we have taken data from your long-term memory, and you have built it up the idea that there is transmission. Then sometimes brain goes against brain. If I ask you which color is this, it's very easy that you answer green. But this red is something that is a play that can make you mad. Then there is something that is connected on our deep sensation. You know the Lord of Kings? In the Lord of Kings,
Rings.
sorry?
Rings. Lord of Rings.
Lord of Rings. Lord of Rings. They have a special language that has been invented. In this language, Takete e Maluma means metal and snow. In these two elements, which is the metal and which is the snow? 90% of the people will say that it is metal and it is snow. Because in our brain, the idea is metal is something strong. It's like in thick and loose. I'm mixing up the things. That was thick and loose. But the important thing, in our brain, we connect things to our experience.
It's just like this one, right? The Kiki and Boba.
Yes, exactly. There are some disorder that makes these things even more strong. If you have not seen this movie picture or read this book, it's interesting because autistic people that have some problem, but they are stronger in this application of rules. Sometimes we see designers that do very stupid things from the point of view of Gestalt. For instance, here you have some functional widgets that are exactly the same of an advertising banner. If you build them exactly the same, people will feel them exactly the same. And navigation will become very difficult. We will speak this about, we speak about form design. This is what is called the meatball mystery meat. You know, the idea is, I like meatball when they are good, but it's almost impossible to guess which type of meat is inside, because they are mixed with a lot of other things. This is called mystery meat navigation. We don't understand how to navigate because navigation is too complex. And this is the book to read about it. And then all people. Any question? If you have a question, please do it now, because sometimes when I go out, somebody asks me something. It's better that we do all together. Okay, we can make a 10 minutes break, and then before speaking about the work, I would like to make this clarification I told you about the heuristic. It comes from a question that was given me last time.